Okay, I think right now it might not drop again. Hopefully. I'm so done with my internet issues. It's kind of not funny. Let's see, do we have any um let's see, do we have shut up, you goddamn chicken. Um YouTube chat? Do I have a YouTube chat in here that I can read? I think this is think so, yeah. And then we have got the YouTube live control panel, which can go maybe like over in this half of the screen, maybe. We're figuring things out. We're figuring things out. What's up? What's up back? Hopefully I don't drop this time. That would be ideal. It's set to auto stop, which doesn't inspire much confidence because that probably means that when I drop internet connection, it's going to end the stream, and that's exactly what I don't want it to do. Because my internet keeps like blipping out. And there's not much I can do about it. So we're just gonna kind of hope for the best. As I was saying before, the last attempt at streaming failed. I'm going to set up the last set of cards for the game. There's like 20 more cards that I need to set up. Then I'm going to fix up the AI pathing issue, which I think I have a good solution for. And I'm going to then also look into the AI characters, like directional movement. And those are really the most important things to do at this point. And then we can just finalize some values for all the card values, like what they should be worth and stuff like that. That's all assuming that my internet doesn't fucking die, because it tends to do that. And I'm kind of done with it, to be honest with you. There's nothing I can do about it, which makes it frustrating. Okay, so we have like these 20 cards over here. I just put them up in the property matrix. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to go through and I'm going to say this one is going to be the light warrior. And he's got a lightsaber. He likes the high ground. And then I guess we also can rename him here. Can we rename? I don't think we can rename them, can we? That's not exactly ideal, but we'll deal with it later. And then next up here, we have the commander. So we call it commander fancy armor dude. Maybe at some point I'll go through and actually give these guys serious names and descriptions. For now, just robots. Exterminates. It's probably a typo, I don't care. And like this, we're just going to go through. This is a cyborg. He'll be back. I don't think the Terminator technically is a cyborg. I think that is a robot, right? Doesn't matter. This one will be... that's not what I wanted to do at all. This one will then be the... I think it's called a spy. Yeah, so Robo Spy. Always watching. Something like that. This is also a warrior. I'm going to call this one... it's this one. I'm going to call this one Tech Brawler. I don't know. He punched real hard. I'm bad with like coming up with these names and descriptions. This would be... I think this is just a gunman, or is this supposed to... I think this is supposed to be my sniper. So we call him Sniper. I am not very creative today, so I'm just going to go with, like, he's sniping, he's shooting, he swinging, he whatever. Again, at some point I might go through and write some more proper descriptions for all these. I very much doubt it, to be honest. There's gonna be a swordman. Glory death awaits. I'm operating on half a brain cell today. Got me some slack. Like, even more than I usually am. Yeah, so YouTube is already bitching at me that I am dropping a lot of frames. So I don't know how well this is gonna go. It's really annoying because every time I like do a speed test, my internet seems good, and then when I start streaming, it absolutely breaks the fuck apart, and I don't know, like, I can't test it properly. So it's been better. I don't know what caused it to be so bad. Like, a couple of weeks ago, my internet just went out, and then it was fixed, but it's not stable, like, at all. But it also doesn't necessarily seem to be just the internet, because when I tried going on the, like, my 5G through my phone, it also was terrible. Which doesn't make sense, because that's not my Wi-Fi network that other people are also on. So I have no idea, like, what the actual issue is at this point. And I'm just... I don't know. We'll call this dude a gunman. He gonna shoot ya. With very weird capitalization. I don't even know what is this. A guy he's supposed to be engineer. He's supposed to be an engineer. Engineer. Tinkering. It's kind of a shame, because I really do like doing these live streams, but, like, if I can't consistently do them, I might as well, like, just not do them. Because frankly, like, they force me to work on some projects at least, like, a couple hours a week. But, like, if my internet can't keep up with it, I am more productive when I'm just working on my own. It's less fun because I'm not able to, like, chat and hang out with you guys, but I don't know. We might have to, like, scale back the streams if this keeps up, which is fucked. We'll see. So far, this seems to be a slightly better stream. We've only dropped about 800 frames so far. The first stream auto ended, but that might have also been because of the restream, which might just mean there's another reason not to be using restream, because that might be the thing that is auto ending the streams on YouTube, which is definitely not what I wanted to do. Let's just say Hacker Man for this one. Like, 3 people will probably get that meme at this point. It's like a very old meme. This will be the medic. Nobody's gonna get this meme. It's like a Northern Lion meme from, like, 2013. This is nobody's gonna, from, like, one show that they did. Nobody's gonna get that. But, like, at this point, just having fun. Bounty hunter. He kinda got fat off all that boba. I don't know if that's how you spell boba, as in boba tea. The joke is Boba Fett, obviously. Where's the space ROM? I can see YouTube complaining at me from the corner of my eye already. I'm going to drop another 200 frames. Yeah, it's not that bad. Maybe, I don't think I can change it at this point anymore. Maybe what I need to do is I need to increase the stream delay. Like if I don't... Like that's the question, right? If I drop momentarily, but I have a built-in delay of like 10 seconds, will it still send that data through when my connection re-establishes itself? Because that might create some more stability. I'm going to try that starting next week. See if that actually helps at all. It'll make me respond slower to chat, which is not fun. But again, if this is the only way to actually like reliably be able to stream at all, that might be what we need to do. Computers are magic. Well, anybody who can't read this, by the way, I feel like I want to kind of point this one out specifically. This card is called AI. The description will be artists hate it. Just because I think I'm funny sometimes. Emphasis think. Assassin. I just like killing. There's a lot of references in today's set of cards. Nano attack specialists. He likes... I was going to say he likes them small. Probably don't say that. That sounds bad. But if we're going to make like inappropriate jokes anyway, we might as well say size doesn't matter. And I think then this one will be quantum physicist. I'm just going to like kind of copy that over because I'm definitely going to be making typos trying to spell that out. Yeah, we're dropping again. And we're at 0 kilobit and the stream is going to kill itself probably. No data. Is the stream going to kill itself? This is the question. We're getting back up. Is the stream going to pick itself back up when we get back there? It seems like it might. It didn't end itself this time, which is improvement. But I'm really, really annoyed at my internet at the moment. To the point where, like, literally at this point, I think the only thing I can do is move. Which I'm trying to do. It's just, I'm not able to. Okay, at least we've updated all of these cards. Now what I need to do is, can I like get another one of these? Now I just need to get all of these cards and rename them. Like the actual assets. I need to rename the assets. Oh, that would have been a nice way to do it. Because I don't know if I can, like, I don't have a way to change the asset names here, which is... The fun thing is there is visually no frame loss at the viewer side. Isn't there? Because like my OBS says that I'm dropping about like 10% of my frames. Like since we started 15 minutes ago, I've dropped 3,500 frames. Which I must imagine means that those are just frames that OBS isn't sending out, right? But if you guys are getting everything, that's fun, I guess. That's good. That just means that the metrics that I'm getting are literally meaningless, which is frustrating in an entirely different kind of way. So I don't know. Anyway, we have got all that stuff working now. Have you got any professional experience in the game industry, or are you solely self-taught? Self-taught. Which has its benefits, but also its downsides with like creating blind spots. But I do think that in terms of like blind spots, I try to be aware of that. And I try to, like, when learning something, find a like properly structured method to learn something, like doing a course, rather than just like looking up a tutorial and thinking that I know everything. And learning through the documentation itself where available, but like Unreal is famously kind of difficult to learn from the documentation, which is something that they can definitely improve in. There was one place somewhere in the game where the cards didn't like show up properly. When you were saying about OBS, there was no lag. I mean, I believe that because my internet connection was stable then, but like there's just every so often I drop. Are you interested in the industry at all? It is a lot more different than the indie market, which is more free. I was interested in for a bit, but the whole getting work for staying afloat isn't appealing to me. That's just gonna happen. Like that's just what's gonna happen with a job in general, though, right? And there, like, if you can get a job in the industry rather than like getting a job entirely unrelated to the industry, that might like it's a personality based thing. For some people, that might be demotivating to the point where they don't want to work on their own projects like outside of work anymore because there's too much overlap. For some people, that might be motivating and inspiring and drive them to work on their own projects outside of work hours. So some people might find themselves being better suited to having like just not like an office job, a normal 9 to 5, and then working on their indie games on the side. Some people might be better off working in the industry and working on their projects on the side, or just working in the industry. It can be fulfilling enough if you work for the right studio, I suppose. Like there's definitely a lot of studios that you don't want to work for. But like even if you are successful as an indie developer, you're gonna get to the point where you're doing stuff that you don't want to be doing just because it's part of like production of anything. So okay, let's think for a moment here. When we start, actually, I don't think we're saving the money out, are we? The thing that I was gonna say here is we should probably like initialize the money to a certain amount as well. So we have the game mode here. I think, yeah, float money. Let's initialize the money to like 250. And then when we save and load, we probably also want to save and load the money. So we need to... Have you heard how Valve works? They use an open project workflow. So basically you can hop on or off any project in the studio currently working on. Probably why each of the games take a decade to come out. Valve at this point also just isn't a game development studio. Is the thing. Like, Valve doesn't get made. There needs to be a balance. You like don't want to overwork people. You don't want to just only shove like shit jobs down one person's throat because that person's just going to quit at some point when they get the opportunity to. So it's a delicate, difficult balance to do. And if a company like Valve can manage to get away with like actually making money through their hardware and their like service, and just make games on a purely like passion basis, that is amazing. That would be absolutely fantastic. Which would technically then qualify them as an indie studio, funnily enough, right? So that would be kind of that would be kind of neat to work on. I'll admit, I would like that. Does it mean that I have to use Source Engine? Because I don't know if I like that. I don't know how like up to date Source Engine is at this point. Because again, what is the last game that they, like Half-Life Alyx, I suppose, like that VR game? It's probably one of the last games they released. That has to be Source Engine still, right? Like that's probably the newest Source Engine, I would imagine. Let's see. Okay, so in here we add in our float for money. Let's actually make that a lowercase m just because I think that's how I spell it in the other one as well. And I'm back in the game mode. I don't even think we necessarily need to make a separate function for this, to be honest with you. It's going to be like 2 lines of code. So we can just put that into the save game function. Yeah, so we have a save game instance dot, or not dot actually, arrow, money equals just money. Oh, it is actually a capital M, never mind then. And a number at the end. They surely like have a more modern and up-to-date engine than they used to have, right? Because the Source Engine is like everything in it kind of looks like Gary's mod, because it doesn't allow for that much more than Gary's mod type of like visual fidelity, at least. And not to say like I'm here in Unreal, I know. Not to say that visual fidelity is what makes or breaks a game. Quite the opposite. Like, that's the last thing that is actually important. Okay, so do I start with 250 money? First things first. I do. Okay, so this is kind of like a scaling related issue, but we'll look into that. Okay. Let me try to put in like this one for, oh yeah, we also need to make the AI decide whether or not they want to buy something based on the actual value rather than just as a coin flip. And that's going to actually be quite a little bit of a tricky bit of code, I think. That might not be great. Okay, so I dropped again a moment ago. We'll see how this ends up going. I'm just going to try to like plow through and hopefully like something will improve at some point. Hey, maybe NPCs, you want to spawn in? I would very much like it if you spawned in. At some point. Like any moment now. Maybe, maybe not. Value 15. It seems like they're already... Oh, green light. Oh, there we go. We've got an NPC. So are you going to buy this thing? I don't know what that did, but... Okay, I've now got 260 money. Buddy. Okay, and he's leaving. So I want to save this. I want to cancel. And I want to... I actually just realized that I'm probably not even... This is not going to display the proper light calls, is it? Oh, no, it is. and the money is 0. So loading in the money doesn't quite work yet. Why not? No, seriously, why not? Has to be saving the money, alright? No, that should work. That should work. That's weird. You know what else is weird? I don't know, man. This stream... Are you guys able to, like, see literally everything that's happening? Because I'm being told that that's the case, but I also feel, like, a little doubtful that that is the case. Because I am, like, at this point, I'm literally offline half the time. Yeah, there's already a comment on my previous attempt to stream. Hell yeah. No problem. Didn't even have the time to say hi. Good job, internet provider. I know, right? It sucks. We'll see. Like, did I not rebuild properly? Because, like, this is everything that should be to this code. There shouldn't need to be anything else. How is the value in my heads-up display getting updated? I think I just set that to update every frame, right? Because I'm a horrible human being. It's right over there. Yeah, this just updates every frame, which again is maybe not ideal, but it'll do. F key, G key. Fucking delete it. How is that possible? How is that possible? Unless I'm just not saving. No, but I have to be saving because it did overwrite the cards in the display, so it must be doing that. So it's not saving the value for some reason. That also doesn't make sense because, like, I literally save game instance money equals money, and then we save it to the slot. So there's no reason for it not to be saving that. Oh, actually, yes, there is. Fucking you properties. Okay, that's probably going to fix it. Is anybody in the Discord complaining about me going offline yet? No. So maybe it's not that bad. It probably is, but okay. So now if we can't quite load anything or save anything yet, but if we do this, at least it's sticking at 250. So let's get ourselves a few cards. And sell these for apparently 30 apiece. Why? What? It's just fucking deleting them when I do that. What the actual... How? Must be because I loaded in the empty slots or something like that. I don't fucking know, man. It's weird. Yeah, so now at least that works, so that's good. Okay, we've got a couple of cards. All that I need at this point is for some fucker to spawn in, buy a card, give me money so that I can test whether or not my money saves, and then we can look into whatever the hell this issue is. So be a friend and spawn in, please. Pretty please. Probably should decrease the initial spawn delay. But for now we'll be fine. Probably also should make like the enter button just close out of this inventory screen to begin with. Because it is quite annoying to have to go all the way to the close button every single time. Okay, so why is so one of them has spawned in. That's good. Again, we'll look into the avoidance thing in a moment. I think we can fix that. I don't know why it has a black background every so often. That's not ideal. But we have some money now, so let's save. It doesn't save the fact that there is a NPC in this shop when we save, I just realized. I also don't think I care. So let's load. We've got our money. Okay, so now I've got this weird bug, right? Where I load it. And when I load in, it just deletes the cards when... Okay, so why could that be happening? What could be the cause of something like that? I don't know. I guess we gotta find out. So let's just open up this thing, and when we... On chart card, click player. In the player inventory, we check whether or not our display case already has a card. Okay, so this is being set to true, presumably. When we load in. But then when we compare cards, obviously we're comparing something that is a null value to something that actually has a value, so this is false. So it tries to add a card from the player components to an array that already has one index. So it's adding them. Okay, so that's probably what's going on, because it's only getting card 0 every single time. And when we load the, I think it's load sales data down here. For the display case, in display case manager display cases, we create a sales data. If inventory components cards is greater than 0 for that display case, we also need to get the... Okay, I think if we set the sale data dot card slot save data. Now we have the asset path and the rarity. The rarity doesn't really matter. It's mostly the asset path for No, I don't think we need to do that actually. I think what we need to do is we need to get the display case inventory components and we just need to clear it. Dot oh, hold on. Inventory components, cards. Dot empty, I think it is, right? Need to make sure that this is entirely, oh, that's not a dot, that's supposed to be an arrow. We need to make sure that this array is entirely empty. So I think that will do it. So I think that is going to solve our issue. Which also, I think if we already, like with the current tag that we have, there's actually something that we can just straight up test, I think. If we have a card in a display case, which we'll have to get one first. I think if we have a card in a display case and we try to load in an empty display case when we load the game, it's also going to do something wacky. Yeah, so it keeps the card there. And this should then... That's a very good question, actually. We also should set card visibility at the end, I think. Yes, we should. That's the wrong function though. I need to do this in the save version of this. So there's a save sales data or load sales data rather. Okay, so I need to hold on. Need to figure out what this actually does. We create a card asset from all this. So I think what we do first is we do our display case I. Empty. Then we do all the other stuff. But we only add the card if the card to add is not a null pointer, right? So we put in an if statement here real quick. Hope you're feeling better. I am feeling a little bit better, but not quite fully there yet, as is probably evident by me being thrown for like very basic shit right now. So we check if the card asset is valid. If it is, we do these. Else, no. I just want to put an else in. We set this to display case inventory components. Otherwise, we empty it. Do we need to empty it beforehand as well? I think we need to empty it beforehand as well. And we're only adding it if this is valid. So if it is not valid or we've already emptied it, I don't think there's anything we need to do. We just need to set our value to 0. And then in either case, what we need to do is we need to set card visibility, I think. I think this will fix all of our issues, as well as world hunger and every single war ever. That's just how powerful my code is, right? And maybe it'll create some more issues. Very likely, matter of fact. Are we not gonna... Oh, it's just... There we are. Now, let's check out how this works. Give me a second. There we go. I need to get a couple of cards. Actually, do I? Don't think I do, because I have cards in my inventory after loading. So now that these cases are loaded, if I go up to this one, I try to put it in, it's fixed now. Great. If I try to load again, it clears that one out as well, and it still works. Fantastic. So I fixed that bug on my first try. Aren't you guys proud of me? Aren't you guys just so impressed by my actual genius level programming intellect? Fixing a basic issue like that. Okay, so now the next issue that we need to fix is that we can buy cards for free, which is probably not what we want to be doing. So what we want to be doing instead is we want to DPC, where is it? The same place where my voice has gone to, which is the void, apparently. Okay, so let me think this through real quick. I think we need to also open a booster pack, and booster pack itself is going to need to have a variable on it for buy value. The buy value is going to be a float, and it's going to be exposed. So now if we go into the PC screen, we have a buy value. So let's say that this first one is worth like 100. Actually, let's say it's worth 50. This one is worth 100, and this one is worth like 200 maybe. So you start out buying mostly this at the start of the game. On average, I think these cards start out at a value of 10, so spending 50 should get you on average about 60. That means that these should probably be about 20, and these should probably be about, like, let's say 30. Because by the time you're going to be buying these, a little while will have passed, and they will have had chances to increase in value. And as long as you're not selling a particular type of card, the value of it will keep increasing until you start selling it. So I think making these a base value of 30 makes sense. So we've got like 10, 20, 30 as well. So that, yeah, I think that makes sense. So let's go through our cards, basic pack, and we can very easily just say, hey, asset actions, property matrix, select them all and say, hey, your base value is now 10. Congratulations. That's as easy as it's done. Selecting all these, and we do the same thing. Property matrix. Selecting all of them. Your base value is now 20. And we save that. Then we go into the future, and we still need to set the names for these assets. Technically speaking, we don't need to. Doesn't really do anything, but for my sake, it's probably good to do so. And we go into the property matrix once again, and we set these values to 30. And that's the base value even, right? So even if you pull a card pack here, and right now they're all equally likely to be pulled. We probably should also weight those a little bit more, to be honest with you. You're a stable genius. You know, I said I am genius. I never said I'm mentally stable. So yeah, that's the base value. Then if I think we have like on the card assets class somewhere. I think I might have just closed that window. But we can just like card assets. God damn, that bird is loud. Oh yeah, you guys are. I was gonna ask, are you guys able to hear that? That bird is almost as loud as me. This is what I have to deal with, by the way, at 6:30 in the morning when they wake up through like sunrise, and I'm like, I like need to sleep. Could you please shut the fuck up? Anyway, card asset is get real value. So we've got common, which is the normal value, 60, except that these are all equally likely to happen. So that means that we've got like 100, 250, 450, 750. What is 750? 750 divided by 4 is almost 200, right? So that's not what I wanted to do at all. Like 750 divided by 4, like on average, your average card is worth about 187.5% of base value. This should probably be a little bit lower. If we make something like a weight between 1 and 10, and then like just a random number, like a random integer between 1 and 10 when it spawns in a card. Any value below 6 will be a common. Then like 6, 7, 8. Well, any value up to 5 will be common. Then we'll have 6 and 7 for uncommon. 6, 7, 8 for uncommon actually. 9. I'll have to think about what kind of distribution we're going with actually, because what I want is like I want a like here 2 chance roll, here 3 chance roll there, and then 4 chance roll there actually. It would be like 0, 1 cards. We generate let's see. Surely we have a function for that, right? Boost back 1, 2, 3. We get that card slot. Where do we add card elements for each loop? Oh, cards. Oh, I remember now. I remember now. What we do is we generate them in the booster pack, and when we click on it, we randomly generate cards. So yeah, this should be weighted, because right now it's literally just randomly equally as likely. Probably not a good thing. The stream did just die for a moment again, so it feels likely that it just looked very bad and got out for a moment. Random int in range 0 to 10, and then I guess I really don't want to do a switch statement for this. That seems fucking mental. I guess what we can just do is we can just check whether or not it is like less than 6. Right? So if we check less than 6, if true, we like add this one at a value of common. If it is not less than 6, we check again whether or not this is less than like 6, 7, 8, so less than 9. So be real careful to not make any like weird off by 1 errors here. That would be not great. And then we generate it at the uncommon level. If it is not less than 9, we once again do another branch check, and we check whether or not it is then less than 10. But that doesn't make sense. Hold on. I think I just fucked up. Let's just set up all these nodes first, and then we'll actually worry about the proper values. Again, off by 1 errors are so easy to accidentally make. It's not intuitive at all. Okay, so then this one will be rare, and this one will be legendary. So yeah, what I probably want is less than 5. So that means we have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then this is less than 8, which means that we have 6 and 7. Okay, no, hold on. Less than 4. Less than 8. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right? Okay. 5, 6, 7. That makes sense. 8 and 9. So we check whether or not it is less than 10 after this. And if it is not less than 10, it is 10, which means that it is going to be legendary. Yes. I think this is the setup that we need. It took me long enough to get to that point, but now it will randomly generate the cards with some kind of weightiness to the actual rarity. So if we load the game, which will take a while because it's actually loading all those assets and stuff like that, we should have a... Why did it only fill in 2 of them? It's not actually adding them. What? Why? Oh. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. That does make sense. Okay, that's on me. Okay, so we've got like a bunch of actually not that many comments. And also I'm going to start testing this out in a new pie editor, just because I want to have it like be a 16:9 window so I can see if everything looks good. Such as this, where it does not look good. Or this, where it does not look good. Why does it only show 4 of them? If I make it big, oh my god. What the fuck? What the fuck? Okay. Let's take a look at what could be causing that. I don't know. Why are these not scaling very well? This is weird. Like, this not being quite lined up does make a certain amount of sense, but that's like fixable, right? We can... This is very sloppy. And we can make this one just simply bigger. Gonna be difficult to center properly, but something to worry about later. And this one we can also just make wider, maybe? I don't like working on UI. I really don't. Okay. Yeah, that close button is just kind of hanging out weirdly there, but that's not my main issue at the moment. Why is this showing up so weirdly? Like, this is a little bit better. But like, where are the other cards? There's supposed to be 6 down there, and there's not. If I go full screen, there is, but they for some reason wrap around like that. Why does it do that? That doesn't make any fucking sense, does it? Oh my god, I hate UI stuff. Oh, that's... Hold on, that's the red box. I need to scroll box. What if I try to make it scale like this? Is this just what I need to do? Like, always make it scale fully with... Okay, that does seem better. Can I please have it in a small screen now? I would very much prefer to have it in a small screen. I suppose I can just size down the window. Right? We just do this. At this point, I don't actually know if this is the proper aspect ratio anymore. But okay, so that does seem to work like a fair bit better. So maybe that's just the way we do it. I never quite understand what these anchors actually do. I always think that I understand it, and then I run into something like this, and I'm like, okay, apparently I don't fully understand how they work. Yeah, so that's definitely not what I wanted to do. Again, I need these to... So maybe I don't actually need them to be in a scroll box and a wrap box, right? So maybe I can just... Oh, don't delete them. Maybe they can just exist on the canvas panel. Okay, so maybe not. I don't know what the fuck is going on with any of this. Why are you being weird now? Can I just copy this and paste it on all these, please? I can. That's fantastic. Until I cannot. Okay, so that also is kind of weird. You know, I just don't think I care. If I'm being like 1000% honest with you, I just don't think I give a shit. At this point, I think I am just content with it like working good enough sometimes. Like, this is what I want it to look like. This is how I want it to work. Fantastic. Put it just however the hell I want. Yes. Okay. Good. What I actually wanted to do is when I buy one of these, I first need to check whether or not I have the money to buy them. So what we'll do is we just simply put in a... Yeah, very good question. What do we do? I guess what we do is we go back in here. And this event dispatcher is just going to also have a cost to go with it. And then on the other side, we now have a cost, and we check whether or not that cost, do we have a reference to the game mode yet? I don't think we do. Shop game mode. Let's just promote this to a variable so that we have it. Get money is not going to happen because actually it is. What? Is this blueprint read? Did I actually like do a thing? I did. Wow. Okay, cool. If money is greater or equal to the cost, we simply set money to money minus the cost, and then we run the rest. And that's how easily we can do this shit. I could potentially like put in a target money value and have it like interpolate the money counter at the top left of the screen just to have it like look a little bit more fun and satisfying. And the same thing with like when we add money to it. But for now, we can just buy a bunch of cards. But now that we don't have any more money, we can't buy any more cards. So we need to start selling stuff first. Which basically means that the economy part of the game is now finished. We sell stuff until we can buy more stuff, and then we sell stuff, and that's the entire game loop. I never said this was going to be a deep game, okay? There's plenty enough on my plate to do here, and I've been working on this game for like 2 months. Stream seems to be doing like not that horribly anymore, so that's good. I probably shouldn't have said that because now it's going to actually like straight up crash. Not in my luck. Enemies. NPCs. I keep calling them enemies. I've been working on another game on the background a little bit, so I've got enemies on mind. NPC. So I think the thing that we're going to do to fix this is we're going to go into the AI controller. We find our AI controller class. We figure out that actually doesn't do anything. So we're not going to be using that anymore. It's got a path component. Actually, maybe that can do something. No, I don't think it can. So instead of using our own AI controller, what we're going to do is we're going to use the Detour Crowd controller. I don't know if this also improves detouring around static objects. Before we do anything else, actually. We have our NPC spawner somewhere in here. There we go. Let's not have the start delay. Actually, let's have the start delay, but have it be like 10 to 30 seconds long instead. And we can just load the game and we'll have like instant money. We've got some cards in here and won't be taking that long for these guys to start showing up. And we can see if they try to detour around us. and around the actual display cases as well. Because otherwise what we might need to do is we might need to change these things themselves to characters, but well, it's kind of trying to detour. A little bit more than it used to be anyway. Okay, so that doesn't actually work that well. Let's see how it deals with static objects. Does it get stuck on those as well? It probably will. Okay, it's got one, but I needed to like be interested in one of these below here. It seems to be more intelligent at how it moves around. A little bit at least. What I really needed to do is be interested in the green one down here. So it's not quite there, is it? Still kind of gets stuck. Okay, so the alternative is instead of making this a child of 2D character, which had like a bunch of shit going on, a 2D character is a child of a pawn. This might fuck up some things, but let's try to make this a child of a character instead. Because that will give us some other stuff to do. So let's go back to this controller, which might actually just work better for our purposes to begin with. Because I'm not entirely sure how the crowd detour AI thing works. That might just be... What the fuck is your problem? Our player 2D... but why can't I get controller if it's a character? Or add movement input or anything like that? The fuck is... Huh? Setup player input component is not a member of a 2D character. No, it definitely should be. If it's pawn, if it's part of pawn, it will also be part of character. Class marked by U class must inherit only other classes. What the fuck are you talking about, man? Oh. Fucking hell. It's the include. Okay, that should now allow me to build. Oh, I'm sorry for hitting the microphone there. Not paying that much attention. If this allows me to build, everything will now be a character, which means something. And that something is that we now have a character movement component. And because we have a character movement component, we don't have a pawn movement component anymore, but I guess we don't actually need that anymore. So let's get rid of that then. Hold on. 3D character, pawn movements, yeah, go away. That is one of the most cursed message descriptions that I saw in my life. Which one? What? Why are you not building? Pawn movement, undeclared. Oh. That's fair. We don't need pawn movement anymore. If we have character movement, we might as well use that because it's just better. And they might even conflict with each other. Who knows? So let's try and open them again. And then in the NPC, we've got the character movement component now. And the thing that I figured out is the character movement component has a fucking entire subsection on avoidance. Avoidance consideration radius we can set to a certain amount. The avoidance weight, I don't exactly know what that does actually. And we need to set this thing to true to begin with. And then we can like avoid certain groups. Like what part? Oh, that might actually, So this probably also actually doesn't avoid static things. I realize now because this thing is going to be in group 0 and it's going to avoid everything in groups 0 through 31, but just normal actors aren't going to have an avoidance group. So this might not actually do anything after all. Because it's part of the character movement component, right? So if we just like pick this and we say avoid, it doesn't have anything for avoidance. This might not work as well as I thought or hoped it would, which means that we're still going to be in for some trouble. What the? Why can't I move? Oh, that I can't. Yeah, that makes sense. I'll try to just play in viewport real quick, see if enemies or NPCs spawn in and at least like do something. Actually, we probably need to like load game first though. Like, does literally anything happen? They should be spawning in about like 10 seconds or so. Can they even move? This might not be the solution that I thought it was. Which does mean that we might actually need to take a step back and write some custom movement code, which I don't really want to do. Anytime now. Anytime now. They're not showing up. Why aren't they showing up? Are they not showing up because they immediately recognize that they can't move and delete themselves? That might be what's going on. Let's see if I look for NPC. Yeah, that should have proc by now. Okay, so I don't think the character movement thing is going to work out that well. I'm being 1000% honest with you. There's also the issue that we now like have this capsule component, which that might actually be fucking with things. It might be spawning them somewhere else outside. Yeah, so I don't think the character movement thing is going to work very well. Let's go back Pawn movement it is. Maybe the pawn movement component has some settings that I didn't look at before. That would be ideal. I doubt it. But it will be freaking great. Back to pawn movements. Let's see, we've got max speed, navigation, planar movement. Yeah, we don't have the avoidance thing in here, do we? Activation, cooking. Yeah, this doesn't have the avoidance. I already tried the AI controller. That doesn't it doesn't do what I need it to do. At least not in a like big enough radius. It seemed to be a little bit better, but aside from that, it doesn't really like. If I go to the AI controller, I tried that diesel controller. I guess like maybe it has a value that I can set up. Let me just like if I get controller plus to detour crowd AI controller. Does this have like a radius or something? That doesn't really seem like it. I don't know if it has many like settings that I can really. I can take this AI controller and maybe set its parent class to like detour AI controller. See if that exposes any values that I can work with. In here, let's see. Navigation, nope. I guess we can allow strafe. Maybe that'll do a little bit better. But for the most part, this doesn't really fix the issue. We can now change it back to our NPC AI now. We've got our floating pawn movement, right? So if we... Does this thing have like a friction anywhere? No. Maybe we just need to set the max speed to be a little bit higher, so that when it gets stuck on something, it actually goes past the part where it gets stuck. That'd be probably... What the fuck? Why don't you work anymore? Like, what? Why did you just stop working? Oh, this still should be a pawn. That's probably why they stopped working to begin with. But the idea that I have for custom movement isn't actually that complicated, I don't think. But I would prefer not to have to do it still. Okay. So we'll see if maybe with a slightly higher speed. I also didn't end up updating these textures. It doesn't really matter. It looks good enough. Holy hell! My boy's speedy! Granted, he doesn't seem to be getting stuck on things anymore. But he's speedy. Did I add a 0 too much? Did I set him to 15,000? I think I might have set him to 15,000. He's a very interested buyer. Very interested buyer. Yeah, something is a little weird about him. And then he just yeets himself. Okay, first and foremost, that value is just kind of weird. But you see, he still gets stuck on those objects for some reason. And I'm starting to not quite understand why. Or at least how I can fix it. Because what's probably happening is his nav mash radius is too small for his actual size. But anytime I try to like do anything about that, the engine just doesn't seem to want to like let me. That's a little weird. Anyway, pawn movement. No, that is 1500. So why are you so speedy when at 1200 you were just like okay at your speed? I know 1200 is lower than 1500, but not that much. Yeah, suddenly they're also... Yeah, he gets stuck on the fucking table lag. So, what is likely the issue... Oh, what might be the issue? Okay, so I think I have a different idea as to what the issue might be. What the issue might be, instead, is that it's calculating a path based on like... No, because it has a radius. No, it has a radius. It has a radius. So that's not what it is at all. Crowd manager. This is nothing to do with the crowd. But let's set this to 500. An agent radius. This is set to about 70. I think it should be at about 100. But the funny thing is, with as fast as they apparently move, the moment one of them spawns in, it seems to, from somewhere in their code, overwrite that value. I'm going to try to catch one when it walks in. Also, don't show the nav mash, it's ugly. It's going to spawn in at some point. There we go. And he left. Okay, so what the fuck is up with them walking so fast suddenly? That's also kind of weird. I know its acceleration is at 4000, but surely if we set this to like 500, surely its acceleration is not going to exceed its maximum speed. Surely. Okay, so here we have the movement capability. So we've got the nav mash radius. So if we set it to 100 here, and then the height will be like not relevant, right? I can set it to 100 as well. I think like the collision box here is about 70 tall. We can try the project settings. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, Crowd Manager deals with, like, crowd-related stuff. So only other agents, not the nav mesh and just normal colliders themselves, right? I could have sworn that I had updated this in the past, though, but apparently maybe not. Let's see if this helps at all. What even is this collision? Why can't I, like, what is going on with this particular tile? Why is this tile solid? That's also weird. Okay, hold on. Let's pause the game. If I now go to his pawn movement, right? It overrides it. It overrides the nav movement stuff. Why does it override things? Why does it set it to 77.388626 when I specifically set it to 100? Why? That's really weird. I'm sure there's a reason. I don't know if it's going to be a, like, reason that I agree with, but there's got to be a reason. And why is this max speed so fucked? Like, this is 1200. That's not that much. If I go into my player, right? Its max speed is 800. So it's not that far off. I suppose we set this one to like 600 instead to make sure that it's slower than the player. Just to see. I think there might also be an issue with the crowd detour thing with colliders that aren't a like the usual like character, like capsule collider. And that just makes him not move at all. I feel like I mean, this is 8,000. That might be a little much, to be fair. Let's set this to 500 or something. I don't know. Just randomly filling out numbers, hoping that it's going to fix my issue, but that's usually not a good method. Probably wasn't actually moving. Okay, now that's my bad. Probably wasn't moving because I didn't actually load in any cards. Also still bothered by the fact that this tile apparently has collision. Yeah, I don't know if the crowd detour is really like improving things too much. I'm going to be real with you. It definitely is different behavior, so it's doing something. The thing that it's doing is not fixing my problem, though. And even so, right? Even so, I'm setting this to I'm trying to set the navmesh radius agent radius, whatever the order of those words is. I'm trying to set it to 100, which would be just give it a little bit more margin of error. But its size is 70, so the 77 that it uses as the weird as override that I'm not setting myself should be good enough anyway. So whatever the fuck is happening, something is going wrong like multiple levels here. I think the NPCs should be slower in general because they are actually slower than me. It's just, it feels really jarring when the NPC is able to walk this fast. Why did you walk over there? Thanks for buying all my shit, don't get me wrong, but could you, like, try to leave? I want to see what my speed is compared to you, because I'm pretty sure that you're slower than me. I just want to test that. My dude, you've literally bought all my cards. Get out of my fucking store. At some point, you'll have to. Anytime. I can do this all day. I can just sit around and wait for you to leave. Is this what it feels like when you like work an actual job and somebody comes in 5 minutes before closing time and you just want them to fuck off? I don't think he's going to be leaving. The new dude spawned in though. I guess we do it this way. Load these fuckers in. I just kind of want to raise. This is my boss calling 2 minutes before I want to leave. Yeah, exactly. See, I am like actually faster than him. They just need to be even slower in order to feel reasonable. So that's fine. We can just like even halve their speed still. And their acceleration can be like 150 and the deceleration can be like 250. I guess a turning boost can be at 0. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, no, we can't actually do that though, because if you, I've had that same idea in the past, but if what you end up doing, it is already being generated at runtime because it had some other issues. But if the NPCs themselves modify the nav mesh, they are then outside of the nav mesh and can't use the nav mesh. Like if we have like an NPC, right, that has collision that navigates like or affects the nav mesh, what ends up happening is it creates a hole in the nav mesh, which means that they can't use it anymore to navigate. So that's actually, that doesn't work. And that would then also, like, that doesn't actually solve the problem that I'm troubleshooting right now. That would make them navigate around each other, and I feel like they probably do that just fine. What ends up happening is they don't properly navigate around things that are are already, that's a tongue twister and a half, that are already affecting the nav mesh. Like these things already are creating holes in the nav mesh and are still getting stuck on it. Like this. So that doesn't actually solve that either. Not like collision, but the modifier makes the land cost like 5 times more to cross. Okay, that would improve things for them navigating around each other. That still doesn't actually solve the issue that we're having right here, though. So, like, unless what we can do, it's maybe not a bad idea, is give this thing a component that makes them more likely to walk around. Like, we can have, like, I think it's called, like, a nav mesh modifier, right? And then we... obstacle, that's not an obstacle. Where can we set this? Default. Is it a different? I thought that was what we would can anyway. Maybe we can just do it like this, like a nav modifier volume. Like that we can do. Like I don't hate that idea, to be honest. Like also just make these like the things around it. Has a, so yeah, it is the same thing. It's just default. It has a thing here for the weight, right? How do we apply that again? Special array that can be generated with insufficient free height above. I guess we can mark it as an obstacle still, though. That still is a viable solution here. So let's set this to like 250 by 250. And if we're going to do that, we might as well just do it as a component so that it's updated with all of them at the same time. Like I could have sworn there's just a value here that says, hey, assign different weight, but I might be overlooking something. So yeah, this is like 250 by 250, something like that. Maybe it needs to be a little bit bigger than that. Display case, say 300 by 300 maybe. Okay, so for some reason when it's as a component, it functions slightly differently, maybe. Or maybe it also generates differently at runtime. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's F8. The actual fuck. Like, is it legitimately, unless, hold on. The wonderful thing here is that I don't actually get to see it. which makes it even more of a pain. So yeah, let's not do it as a component after all, because that is a pain to work with. We should do it like this, and then indeed we'll set this as an obstacle, which again, I am certain that we can also mark this as just more heavily like weighted, or less heavily weighted, a higher weight value so that it's less likely to move over it. But I don't really know where that value is, so I think we set it to 250 before. So just do it like this, and this will work just well enough. I still think it's kind of bullshit that this is required to do it this way, for whatever fucking reason. But if it'll fix my issue, I will be happy. It's in the area class itself. No, we only have obstacle, which is what I'm using right now. Null, which creates a hole. Then we've got low height, which special area that can be generated in spaces with insufficient height above. Cannot reverse by anyone, so that doesn't seem like it. And then we've got default. And you would assume that within default you have like, then it creates another option or something like that, but it doesn't seem to do so. And if I now look for like, I think it's called weight, right? Yeah, it just doesn't have it. Anyway, let's copy these ones down there. I guess we might as well. I'm never going to come up there, so I don't even need to bother, at least for now. Oh, you create one yourself and set values in it. That makes sense. Oh, we can do that, but this will probably work as well. Or not. We'll see in a moment. They should at least be avoiding these bits now, unless they absolutely have to. Meaning that they are going to be like avoiding this table by a pretty wide margin. And then when they actually have to go to one of these little things, they will move to it, but they will try to stay away from all the other ones, is the idea. So I think this solution logically will still help us solve this issue. It seems like it does. He just didn't want to buy that one, so fuck him. But it seems like they're now more intelligently navigating, so that's the way we set that up. To be fair, if we just do the same thing and set the weight on these to a higher, that's kind of the same thing, but this is just like effectively setting the weight to infinity, but which still allows them to walk on it. But only if they absolutely have to get to the destination. But making my own class with like a custom weight is a good thing to keep in mind. Should this prove problematic for any other reason. And I probably should also then... Yeah, they're a little like iffy around these areas here. But I'm pretty sure that they would be effectively having the same issue if I just use like a weight here instead. So I think these things might just be a little too close together, to be honest with you. Which, like, there's one way to fix that, right? And that is like getting rid of 2 of these. Maybe not getting rid of them. Well, now that we've deleted one, we might as well delete the other. And spacing them apart a little more. That's also going to help. So, like, moving this one 4. So that 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles. Probably want to move these with them as well then. And then, like, move these, like, 1, 2, 3 tiles. And move these only 2 tiles. Hold on. Got to make sure that they 1, 2. And then I guess what we can actually do is we can probably, like, add a couple down here as well. Okay, now that just looked completely cursed. Like, they just ignore the nav mesh whenever they feel like it. They don't ignore the nav mesh. Quite the opposite. They ignore these parts. Well, they don't ignore. They avoid these parts. But like, if I increase the weight of these, they're going to do the exact same thing. They're going to avoid this unless they have to take this path. They might be a little, like, less jittery about it, so it's worth giving it a shot in a moment. But I think the main issue is just, like, let's add in a couple of these ones in here as well. I think the main issue is just that Unreal's navigation. Sometimes it's a little bit janky. But let's see what this does, right? And I think we might actually be able to make these a little bit tighter around them as well. Which might make them a little less janky. So that probably helps. Like 200. Yeah, so only 200 tall and only like 150 wide. That might be... Why are you 200 as well? I said 150, right? Oh, that's how tall they are. That's the Z value. That makes sense. So 200 and then like 150. Okay, that's the wrong one. That's 200 and then this one is 150. There we fucking go. And we'll move them about a little bit. I think this will be good enough now that we have that set up. This probably will function relatively fine. I just need to set up those new display cases in my manager, which is probably gonna fuck up some of my save files, but fuck if I care. It's all test stuff anyway. Now, like, there was no nav mesh before, so they shouldn't go there at all, but somehow making the exact same thing, but the modifier fixes the problem. Now, so what the issue is, I think, like, I'm 99% sure what the issue is, let me, like, what happened is they think that they can move here, but their sprite is this size, right? And the sprite has collision all the way up to the top. So if they think they can move here, their sprite gets stuck on the collision of this bit. But now that there is a little bit more margin, well, it's more like move here then, right? But now that there's a little bit more margin around where they are allowed to move, they do take a little bit more of like a detour, and they don't get like their collision stuck on something that the navmesh agent isn't aware is going to get them stuck. That was my whole issue with the I can't update the navmesh agent radius. If I can just say, hey, tell the agent that they are bigger than they think they are, I think that would have fixed the issue as well. But for some reason, that's getting overridden every time one of these fuckers spawns in. So I don't know why that is the case, but it is. So I think that is the reason that this is fixing it. But now that everything is like tighter around the collisions, which again, this is kind of stupid that this has to be the solution. But now that everything is a little tighter around the collisions, oh yeah, no, that makes sense. That's on me. Let's see in the meantime if the Discord is on fire. It's not. That's good. Yeah, we don't need to. Did I not save all those changes to the level before crashing? Oh my god, please tell me that's not the case. Oh, it is the case, isn't it? Oh no. Oh no. No, that's not good. Okay, navmesh modifier volume. Sure, let's speedrun this. Obstacle. No, that's not what I want to do. Matter of fact, now that we have this going on anyway, let's just try to like make this entire thing work just with like tighter boxes. And see if that fixes the issue as well. Because then maybe I don't have to like move everything around as much. Maybe we could change properties and recast navmesh then. So there will be less navmesh, so they should force them to take a bigger detour. Yeah, but that's the issue. Like that works for this, but I still do need them to actually get up close here. So if there's no navmesh close enough to the display cases themselves, that also has an issue. So that also really doesn't work that well. And with this solution, what ends up happening, and that's why I like it a lot, so like good suggestion there, is that they will avoid it unless it's their destination point is within it, then they can still move there. So that is actually like a remarkably good solution, I think. I wonder if there is a like navmesh modifier that has a fall off of its weight, like close to the center of the actor. The weight will be a certain amount, and the further it gets away, it has less influence on the navmesh weight, because that is probably the perfect thing to do. If I can also like influence how harsh the fall off is with like a curve asset or something like that, that would be ideal. But let's see if just these tighter obstacle things work. Because they very well might. Or they might not. I don't know. That was tricky. That was really close. A little too close for comfort, if I'm being real with you. But that seems like it might actually be good enough. Like, he's a little buggy. I won't deny that. But only a little. Which, as far as I'm concerned, that's improvement. Now I myself am getting stuck on these little legs. So maybe those legs should just not be a thing. Let's buy like one of those, one of those. And then we can put a couple of these in. While we wait for the next customer. We have a next customer. That's good. I think the navigation seems to be working well enough now. Like, it actually navigates somewhat around the thing. Like, this guy, he stops a little too far away from the display case for my liking. But at this point, I'm willing to accept a halfway decent solution. There also definitely should be like a deliberation period where he reaches his destination and thinks for a moment before buying. Because right now, it's just like, the moment I get to it, I buy or I don't. Yeah, like this. I don't know why he does it here. Oh, because he decided not to buy. Okay. Yeah, no. There we go. There we go. There's an issue. And he's stuck again. I'm just kind of, if I'm being real with you, I'm just kind of done with worrying about this. Like, this is a very annoying issue that's taken up way too much time in a project that was supposed to be a quick and easy little thing in Godot, and has kind of blown itself out of proportion. So I think this is a good enough fix. It's not perfect, it's not even good, but I think it is acceptable enough. Like, honestly, the only way that I can get it to work the way I would actually want it to work at this point is, like, legitimately doing a lot of, like, actual custom movement code, because I still would very much like this to be a tile-based looking system. Why is this, like, offset weirdly? What happens to this spotlight? Why is it like, what the top view? Spotlights. All the way the fuck down there. Yeah, that should be... Don't know what happened there. Anyway. I'm going to leave it. I feel like this problem is only 2D, because I can't see anything similar in 3D. It is made worse by the fact that it is 2D, I think, yes. But it is, like, definitely not only a 2D thing. Because if this was just, like, if it's using the same technique as a 3D game would. So if our collision boxes here weren't flat, but instead like we have a collision box here, right? Which, like we can see, like if this collision box wasn't flat but just like going up somewhat, and that was our pawn, which has like a box as its collision, it would probably have the same issue. I don't see a reason why it wouldn't have the same issue if this was all 3D models instead. That would just like this exact same layout, but they would also just have height. I don't see how that would make the navigation any different, because like on a, like the navigation itself is, the nav mesh itself is like a surface, right? It itself is 2D. So the fact that the art assets and the collision boxes themselves might have like a little more or less height to them, I don't think would affect them. Now, what would probably make a difference is the fact that if this was a 3D game, we'd probably not be using these like basic collision boxes. What we'd be doing is we'd be using characters with like their character collision capsule, which probably works a lot better with stuff than these box collisions. So I do think that these box collisions are probably part of the problem. And these box collisions make a lot more sense to use in 2D than in 3D, I suppose. But I guess that kind of is what it comes down to, is because this is a box collision, it has a corner to it, which is maybe more likely to get stuck in little crevices. Whereas if this was a cylinder collision to like approximate the capsule collision that a 3D model would have, it would more easily like slide past things. I think that is probably like, that's probably why in 3D we have less of this issue. Which I guess is another argument in the camp of Unreal's really like not made for 2D, because like this makes more sense for a 2D collision. I mean, do you make 3D characters with box collisions? Because you very likely don't, right? Very likely when you're making something in 3D, what you're using is a collision capsule and not a collision box. Like, I honestly think that that is the major difference. And I think the nav mesh agents aren't assuming that you have a boxing collision. I think they have, like, they work with a radius, right? If we like open up the BP for the NPC and we go into like the animation component, not the animation component, sorry, the pawn movement component, like it specifically like refers to the nav mesh agent as having a radius, and a radius is something that happens when you like have a round object. A square doesn't have a radius. So I think the nav mesh agent, like when it has a radius, what happens is it like creates a radius like this, meaning that it is not aware in its calculation of these corners. And these corners are probably the thing that's fucking me, because it's always just getting just stuck on these like little corners when the navigation stuff happens. So I think that is what this issue is coming down to. Where I assume that if we, and this might be an interesting research topic to do some other day. At this point, I'm not going to like go back into another engine and remake this game again. But this might be an interesting like research thing to do another day. I assume that if we explore the like 2D navigation tools that Godot offers, and I assume that Unity probably has like 2D navigation meshes as well, like specifically for 2D navigation, I assume that they probably like take into account like square-shaped collision a lot more, because that feels like it is a lot more logical for a lot of 2D games. So beyond Unreal not exactly being great for being 2D, making 2D in an engine, I also picked probably the worst type of 2D to make a game in, because I picked top-down 2D. Whereas if I picked a side-scrolling 2D, I think I would have been a lot better off in a lot of ways. Because that probably like lines up a lot more with how like 3D games work. And as such, it's only like a visual difference and not a technical difference. And now it is both. And I think that is where we're running into the like biggest issues here. But for now, again, as I said, I think the way it functions now is good enough to the point where they don't like majorly get stuck and the game doesn't work. They just look weird and bad. So that really kind of only leaves the sprite direction, which I don't look forward to fixing up. In 2D, most of the collision is squared, so yeah, they most likely can everything like squares. Yeah, I think they would. Also, I don't think I have my chat overlay up, do I? Oh, no, I do. So yeah, I think those engines that are made more for 2D, like especially if you go like do something like Game Maker, right? That is like specifically a 2D engine. This issue probably wouldn't happen in there. But I am just like stubborn and trying to do something that this engine is just very much not built to do. So yeah, we have like sprites. Where did I store these character sprites? Like NPC maybe? Then animation blueprints. And then in the event graph, I'm also just going to open up my player at the same time. Because we have, yeah, so we get like kind of just all this. We can just copy over and we do that on Eventic. That makes sense. Again, don't let the Unreal Police hear you because they're going to come for you using Eventic. Get owning actor, and then we can cast to NPC blueprints. I don't even think we need to do that, to be honest with you. And then we can get velocity, maybe? I think this will just do it. Being 100% honest here, I think that's kind of all there is to it. We have got the input direction here. It might not be perfect. It's definitely not going to be perfect, actually. But it's another one of those things where if it's good enough, I will call it a day. I wanted to finish this game this week, which is probably not happening. We'll probably finish it next week instead, because I also like want to add a couple of sound effects and a background music track and whatever. Which I might do some of that stuff off stream. Okay, yeah, so that definitely isn't it. Okay, so whenever they walk to the side, they show the down animation. Whenever they're not walking, they show the side animation. And whenever they're walking down, they show the up animation. What the fuck is going on here? So maybe for this one, we don't actually do it like this. Maybe we just do directly that. I don't know. A theoretical level, you can make it on events like when start moving, but that's just give you very few frames and will require a lot of work, so not with it at all. Are we talking about the animation direction? Because I don't think... Okay, so he's still moonwalking. I think they're just the wrong way around, to be honest, at this point. Okay, definitely when they stop now. Oh, hold on. I think the issue mostly is that we need to flip these when we're walking in the... let's see, what direction is it? In the negative x direction, we need to flip. That's the issue. Okay. If velocity x is less than 0. Well, actually, first thing we're going to check is we're going to get the vector length, and we're going to check whether or not that is... We're going to normalize that, actually. We're going to get the length, and we're going to check whether or not that is, like, greater than, let's say, 0.1. Just to have a little bit of tolerance built in. Because if it is not, we just want to keep whatever the last velocity for it was. Because that's just going to be the easiest way to do this, I think. And then we want to check whether or not the velocity x is less than 0. If false, we just set it to input direction immediately, and if true, we get sprites. This is not ideal to do it this way. Set world rotation. Actually, we set that to 0, 0, 0. Again, it's not ideal to do it this way, because we're now setting it every frame, even if we don't need to update it. But I don't really care. And let's check in. I think we have that in the player character as well somewhere. In the movement. No, that's in the player character, I said. In the movement somewhere. We have move player. Oh, we used set scale for this one. So that's -111. We can just use set scale instead. So that's 1, 1, 1, and this is -1, 1, 1. And I need to hook up that condition. I almost forgot about that. That would have been quite bad. Is this... no, it's not blueprint only. As you probably just saw a moment after you asked that, I switched to C++. It's a little bit of both. As are all my projects, to be honest. Okay, so now he's actually facing the right way. Fantastic. Makes me even more glitchy though, but what the fuck do I know? I don't think we're ever going to, like, see a lot of the up and down sprites for the characters, but again, I don't really care. I didn't even make specific sprites for them, so it's fine. Yeah, I'm using Rider. I'm quite liking it. I also do have a promo code for Rider. I think it's in the description. With my promo code, you can get 3-month free trial if you haven't tried it before yet. So that's quite good, hopefully. Okay, so that works again well enough. Not particularly great, but I'm kind of trying to rush this project to its completion at some point. And I think we've done everything that we set out to do today, right? We finished... Well, no, we didn't finish the economy. There's one last thing that we need to do, but I don't know how I'm going to code it. I want to make the NPCs less likely to buy when a card is priced over its market value, and more likely to buy when it's priced under its market value. Because right now it's just doing a coin flip, and that's like too easy to exploit. Already using Rider. Even better. Even better. So yeah, I don't really have many good ideas as to how I'm going to code that yet. So I might just let that like roll around in my mind over the weekend, and then next week we'll probably be able to have an answer to that and implement it. I feel like it's pretty simple math. I assume that you mean math. You're going to ask a question. I don't know if I'll be able to answer it because this entire project's been a shit show, but go ahead and ask. I'll try. Like, there is a very easy implementation that we can make, which it'll work, right? What we can do is like decide by card. Like if that takes in like two values, that is like boy value. Oh, that's caps lock on. Boy value. And then like card actual value. Both of those are floats. What we can do is we can check whether or not the... First off, whether or not the buy value and the actual value are exactly equal, which they actually will never be. Never mind, we're not going to check that. Well, we need to check that just in case. In which case, we'll probably just like do a random bool, right? Just make that a coin flip. Make it 50-50. If they're not, we'll check whether or not it's higher, and then we'll just get the difference between them. No, actually, there's some better math to do here. Because if we can just like get the like buy value and subtract the actual card value. Like current price, good price, and modifier 2 or 0.5 or so. It's 0.5. I guess that works. I think the way that I'm thinking right now is a little bit more straightforward. For playing as deck animation or dash, I thought there is an initiate function play montage. But in Paper ZD, where the animation override functions are only for BPs, not a CPP. Try CPP. I don't think Paper ZD has animation montages. So that kind of just falls apart real quick. I can try, like I can play like montage. Oh, it's called slot, right? We've got something like called an override slot. Creates an entry point for an animation to be played through code with override animation graph. I don't think you can make animation montages the same way with Paper ZD, but let me check. Like, I've got this animation sequence. But there's no such thing as a montage. I don't think. I'm not entirely sure though. Okay, so yeah, we've got the boy value and the actual value. We subtract those from each other. So if the actual value is higher than the boy value, this becomes negative. So I guess what we can do is, like, we can have a subtraction. Like, let's say our starting value is 100. If our actual value is like 50 and we try to sell it for 60, that leaves 10. So we actually probably want to add this. Probably should be a percentage basis, actually. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. We do this on a percentage basis. So we can get the... Like, what percentage is the boy value of the actual card value? Right, so we divide that. Do we divide it the other way? No, we divide it this way. So now we get the percentage of that. My brain is shutting down, can you tell? So again, let's say that this is 100 and this is 50. 100 divided by 50 would be 2. So 200%. How are we going to use that value? Just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to multiply this by 100. Just so that the math makes a little bit more sense in my head. I know that that's a little, like, technically wasteful, but I don't care. Then I guess this is the... Yeah, so from there we can subtract 100. And that will be the weight given to either direction, right? So if it is exactly at the same price, the output from this will be 0. If it is at a lower price, the output from this will be positive. If it is at a higher price, the output from this will be negative. As a percentage. So from there, we just have like a literal float here. Let's say that we have like a 25% margin there. If it's more than 25% cheaper, it's an instant buy. If it's more than 25% more expensive, it's a never buy. So that means that... I don't know, man. What was I... like, what... I had this thing in mind and now it's left me. That's the most frustrating thing ever. Oh, fuck. I found an easier way to do it. We can just subtract from 100 the result of current price and get the percentage. send it to you in a PM right now. It all does need to be percentage based though, right? We can't be working with actual values, because if the values at some point like get very high or very low, but let me see solution. Yeah, so that's kind of just what I have right now, right? We have our buy value divided by our actual card value, multiplied by 20, and that's then taken out of 100. Like I'm not looking at how to choose or calculate this like value. I think that this works perfectly fine. What I'm like a little stuck on right now is more so the how do I use this value to calculate, like how do I use this value to decide whether the bool should be true or false? That is what I'm looking into right now more so. Like, I guess what I do actually is I make a random bool, no, random float in range. And that range will just be like minus 25 to positive 25. And if whatever comes out of here is like greater than, then we will return whether or not it's greater than that value. I think that makes sense, right? Or do I have this the wrong way around now? Fuck. No, like with what I sent, it's just clear percentage, will it buy or not? Yeah, okay, but that does need to, at some point, get used in the calculation to decide a bool. Because buying it or not is a binary state. Like, it happens or it doesn't happen. This is a decision-making process, right? So, just having a chance to have it happen, I don't think we have a like bool by chance or something, right? You can just run a float from 0 to 100, and if it's lower than... Yeah, okay, I guess that works. But I mean, that's still effectively the same thing that I have right here. Just the same result with a slightly different method. Because right here what I have is this is the percentage that the buy value is in respect to the like ideal value. Then I just make that into 100. We can kind of like, I mean, we can get rid of that and we can just make this into a 1 if we wanted to get rid of the multiplication there, because it's not actually doing anything. And then we just like move this decimal to there. Like, this effectively does the same thing, except that it like it's offsets a little bit. So yeah, this should work, I think. Because let's just walk through this with like a handful of examples. If the buy value is 10 and the actual card value is 20, this will be 0.5. So 0.5 minus 1. So that actually should probably be the other way around, eh? So that will be 1 minus 0.5 is 0.5. And 0.5 will never be in this range. So it's never going to buy that. Does that make sense? Hold on. I think I do have it the wrong way around then. Yeah, no, what you have probably makes more sense. Because now it's never going to sell either if it is like too low of a price. I'm just going to leave it at this for now, and we'll get back to this some other time. My brain's just not braining. Like what you have is a percentage multiplied by like that 0.2 or that 20 that you have right there is like a modifier. But I don't think I need a modifier is the thing. I actually don't think your solution does what I needed to do either. Because again, my solution doesn't either now that I think about it. Because what I needed to do is when it is like we have this range, right? This is the actual card value that we would ideally wanted to sell it for based on like the economy system, which is a very fancy word of saying random number generator. Now we've got this range of like, let's say 25% more expensive. If it is above this, we never want an NPC to buy it. And 25% below that market value, if it is below this, we always want it to sell. So below this value, your percentage chance to buy it should always be 100%. And above this value, your percentage chance should always be 0%. So effectively, we need to lerp between... Yeah, that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we need to get the minimum value and the maximum value. Check if it is between those to begin with. If it is above or below, we don't need to do any other math. We just say yes or no. Which I guess that is also what the lerp will do. So we can actually just do the lerp. Never mind. Yeah, and then we need to reverse lerp, right? So we have the minimum and the maximum value, which is just like your ideal value plus or minus 25%. Then we put in a reverse lerp saying that, let's say we are trying to sell here. We put in that value, we get our percentage out, and then we do the random number generator between 0 and 100 and checking whether or not it is greater than this value. That makes sense, right? Because if we have that inverse lerp and we put in a value above 25% here, it's going to, well, technically like give us a negative percentage, but the lerp itself will clamp that, I'm pretty sure. And if not, we can just clamp the values anyway. We'll probably need to clamp in the value before going into the lerp. And then if it is lower, we'll clamp it at 100, which again, it doesn't matter if it goes beyond 100% because that's like, but beyond 100% is not possible. It's just always going to sell then. Okay, so that is the way we need to do it. So we like get the actual value and we like multiply that by like 1.25, but we also get one multiplied by 0.75. We'll get rid of all this shit. Get back to that in a moment. And then our inverse lerp is not an yeah, we can only normal lerp, right? Let me look up real quick what the formula is for inverse lerp, because inverse lerp formula. Unreal removed the inverse lerp in Blueprint for some reason. It still exists in C++, I'm fairly certain. Why am I being such a dummy? I can just ask ChatGPT. Can you give me code for an inverse lerp in C++? Wait, what? If A is equal to B, division by 0 will occur. Sure. Now we need to check whether or not A and B are not equal. Sure. I suppose they never will be, so we don't even need to do that. We need to get our like value minus A divided by B minus A. Again, kind of dumb that they removed this from Blueprint for some reason. Isn't this just a loop though? No, this will give us a percentage. Okay, so then we get a random flow between 0 and 100, and we check whether or not this is less than that. And that is what we return. This took me way too long to get to this point. But again, I'm just kind of like forcing my brain to do stuff was really trying to like shut down. But I'm fairly certain that this will work, right? Because we have, again, let's just do this with actual numbers. That's always a good way to check this. Let's say this is 50 and this is 100. That means that this will be 75, this will be 125. 50 minus 75. Yeah, that's not going to work. I fucked something up. Oh, yeah, no, that makes sense. That does make sense, I think. Well, no, actually, because if this is 50 and this is 100, we should never buy. So that's a bad example. Let's say that this is 100 and this is 50 instead, right? Let's do that. So that should always buy. So if this is 100 and this is 50, that means that this is fucking, what is 3/4 of 50? I suppose it's half of 75, actually. So that's 32 and a half. And this would be... something. I don't know. I can't do math at the moment. Again. In my defense, I am streaming even though I'm still like a little sick. So that's 50 times point... no, 0.75. So 37 and a half. Okay. And then 50 times 1.25, 62 and a half. So this would then be 12 and a half. And we divide that by... yeah, that still doesn't make full sense, I don't think. Because then we have 12 and a half, and then we divide that by 37 and a half divided by 62 and a half. It's 0.6. 12 and a half divided by 0.6 would be about 21% chance. That doesn't add up. I just got this lerp wrong, I think. Again, I'm going to just end the stream for today because my brain is absolutely running out of fuel. I've been live for 2.5 hours and I'm already kind of like not fully awake at all. Like I wasn't fully awake when I started today. And at this point I'm just like saying words and hoping that they're right, and they're definitely not. Blueprint inverse lerp. Okay. Yeah, ChatGPT is just... oh. Yeah, that'll do it. It's B minus A, not B divided by A. That makes a lot more sense, actually. Holy fuck. Okay, so let's do this math one more time. We've got our buy value of 100. This will be a value of 50, which means that this is going to be... where's my calculator? So if that's a value of 50, what we're doing is we are doing... was it 62 and a half minus 37 and a half? That's 25. This was 100 minus whatever this was. So let's try to remember 25. So that's 100 minus 37 and a half, 62 and a half. And that is then what we divide by 25, which is 2.5. And what we need to do is we actually need to get a random range in float. And we need to clamp this between 0 and 1. Okay, now I think this works. Because if we do it the other way around, just for shits and giggles, if this is 50 and this is 100, what ends up happening is we have like 75 and 125, which means that the output from this is going to be 50. But this will be 50 minus 75, so this will be minus 25, which means that we're going to be dividing minus 25 by 50. So minus 25 divided by 50 will be minus 0.5, which will get clamped to 0, which will never be greater than what this puts out. So, yeah, my solution is finally done. For fuck's sake. I managed to do it. Now I just need to actually implement it. Hold on. We didn't... we have this function now with like buy value and actual value. This is on the NPC, the random case that it's trying to buy from. Get value, get sales value is the buy value, and then the card that it has. Do we have a get inventory components? I think we already have a get inventory component here somewhere, right? Maybe not. Okay, maybe not. Get cards. We get a copy. Break that. Get actual. Get value. Get real value. With the card rarity in there, and that real value is going to be our actual card value that we're trying to like market price. That part was the easy bit. Probably should just make a function, to be honest, for get first card in inventory, because we used it quite a lot. But now it will appropriately decide to buy a card. I'm going to like fact check this code when my brain works again tomorrow, because there's probably still some issue with it that I'm not seeing right now. But the two like little test runs that we did with like very extreme ends of the spectrum both seem to have outputs that make sense when just doing the math. So I think this is our decision-making process, which took half an hour to set up, which is wild. Tired math is fun. You tell me, man. Tired math is the worst math. I'm usually pretty good at math. Just when I'm tired, I'm not good at anything. But a pretty like large portion of math is being able to like hang on to information. At least like doing math on the fly. You can like write stuff down. But like a pretty like decent part of math is being able to like hang on to information for longer than 2 seconds. And that is an ability my brain loses when it gets tired. Whether it be specific values or it be like your train of thought and your logic that you're trying to follow in your mind. Like both of those are a little bit of an issue right now. But I think this works, so this should be good. My brain's also not braining right now. I thought I had a solution, but NPC just won't buy a card that have higher price than the good price. I mean, that would also have been a option to like change the... It probably would have been easier to make, to be honest. But with this, it's at least like a little bit more weighted in either direction, and there's at least like there isn't a lot of mechanical stuff going on in this game. There's not a lot of strategy going on in this game. It's just like kind of laid back, and honestly, it's hardly a game. But at least now there's a little bit of strategy to deciding what to price your cards for. With the two elements being the chance that they buy the card based on its market value compared to the price that you're asking for it, but also the fact that the cards will fluctuate in value every 90 seconds, I believe, or every 300 seconds at this point, maybe. Probably should be 90 seconds. Should check that in a moment. With a certain percentage up or down, depending on if they have been recently sold. So if a card just sticks around in a display case forever and ever and ever and ever, it's going to weigh more towards increasing in price, and eventually it will be sold. Like, as just a law of this universe, any card that you put into a case eventually will be sold at whatever price. Now, the question is, could you have made more money in that same time if you had sold like 10 reasonably priced cards? Probably, right? But I think that will create a fun like little feedback loop. The question is the game actually going to be fun? Probably not. It's mostly an exercise in, I want to do this thing. And I've kind of now done this thing. So I think next week we're going to spend either one or both streams just polishing up this thing, adding some sound effects, adding a little bit of music, adding just some quality of life things like closing menus with the enter button and the exit button, or the escape button rather. Making a menu to save and load the game rather than doing that with quick keys, because that's probably not the best idea to do it with. Maybe spice things up a little visually, probably not too much. And then I think it's ready to go up on itch. And I can finally get back to streaming my hack and slash not Souls-like game. Which is also in dire need of some more progress. For now, the stream has actually like been decently stable after the first half an hour, so I'm happy with that. I'm gonna go like to bed very soon and hopefully like get a good night rest. Almost make it to the weekend, and then by the time next week rolls around, I should be like happy and healthy again. Hopefully. Anyway, it's been a good one. I will see you all back next week. Thanks for hanging out, and thanks for trying to support my broken brain. That specifically has been very helpful because today was quite something.